So how do you tell if a developer is good or not?
That's a really tough question because if you're not a programmer, the question is how do you know if their code's
Even
any
if
good?
you are a programmer, it's hard sometimes. But what if you're not a programmer?
Let's take the
Tell me.
extreme example. So there are 3 questions that I recommend that people ask if you're not a programmer to ask. And based upon the answers to the questions, you can determine whether this is the kind of person you probably want to hire with. Now, this isn't going to give you the same fidelity as if you could do a code review in the language, but it's going to knock out the 85–90% of people you don't want to work with. Each question is in the same format. Which thing do you use? Which other thing did you compare it to? And why did you pick this thing over that thing? So now let me give you the first specific thing you ask about. There's something called a version control system. It allows you to keep track of the changes you make in your work. And it's really important as a developer to use one, even if you're just working on your own. Good rule of thumb, a developer that doesn't use a version control system, it's kind of like a surgeon that doesn't wash their hands before surgery. So it's a big deal. So the question then becomes, what version control system do you use? Which version control system did you compare it to? And why did you pick one version control system over the other? Now, what's really nice about this question is you don't need to understand the answer to determine whether somebody's passed. Truth is, you don't even need to understand the question. All they need to say is, I use X, I compared it to Y, and I picked X over Y for blah, blah, blah reason. Firstly, it's a win. They're using a version control system. That's a good sign. Secondly, they're sophisticated enough to realize that there's more than just one, and they decided to pick one over the other. So they actually have looked at 2 different options, because a lot of what you're doing as a developer is looking at multiple options and picking one. And then finally, they were able to articulate, might be in a very technical way, so you might not have understood it, but they were able to articulate in some kind of way why they picked one over the other.
Awesome.
And there are actually 2 levels with it. Firstly, the other 2 questions, you ask the same thing about unit test framework. And then you ask the same question about frameworks in general. Unit test frameworks are little things that allow you to make sure that your code is working the way you expect. And a framework is a piece of software that allows you to build stuff really quickly. So Ruby on Rails is a framework, or Django is a framework in the Python language.
And we cover that in the Programmer for Programmers class. So
great.
They should know that already. That's great. You should know that.
And what's nice about this is basically there are 2 levels of pass. If somebody is not using and does not have an alternative for each one of these 3 things, you probably don't want to work with them. If somebody uses these 3 things, knows of at least one alternative, and can say something about why they picked one over the other,